It definitely looks like winter is beginning to roll in to Tahoe. This is Donner Lake here. I was kind of thinking about going to the mountains again. Well, it is a beautiful day here in Tahoe. It's been cold, and I was figuring we were gonna get some snow, but nope. Another sunny, amazing day. Well, it's another beautiful day at Lake Tahoe. Last night, I saw a ton of black, dark clouds rolling in, but then woke up to sun and just a little bit of overcastness. Right here on the west shore, this is I think like a historic area. I'm not sure what the train tracks do or did in the past. Probably to take boats in and out and put them into that little shed. So, but today I'm just trying not to have a mental breakdown. Keep things real a little bit. It's another old building right back there. I think I'm a relatively optimistic person, so I always try to look at what's the positive in life and opportunities and possibilities. But the last few days, it's all just kind of felt really futile. Like, there's no way out. This is what it is. And there's no getting out of this current lifestyle. And like, this is probably the best it's going to be. And maybe it's time to just realize that it's probably not going to get any better. This is what destiny has chosen for my path. Maybe living in a nice area, but always being that second or third class person. I imagine, though, a lot of us are in that same predicament where you look at your finances and you're like, you know what, I could save some money, but probably the most I can save is like $100 a month. And that's just so demoralizing when you really think about it. Like, every paycheck that you get, every extra amount of money that you can make from a second job, it just goes towards the rising cost of everything. And it's so stressful. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that is just overwhelmingly stressful and just paralyzing in every realm of life. I mean, even finding a job that's around minimum wage, that's decent. Like, you're not going to be pulling your hair out every day and hating life. It just seems so difficult to find. You know, now people with college degrees, now we're competing for the entry level jobs, and you have to have a master's, it seems, to really even get your foot in the door with like a job that will pay just enough to pay your bills and pay rent and have a car. I imagine that there's definitely places to live in America that are very cheap. But the problem with places that are very cheap, it seems, is that the wages are also very cheap. And so you end up kind of having the same lifestyle, but living in a place that maybe it's below 30 in the winter, and there's crime, and there's no real worker or government protections for the people who live in that certain state, you could say. There's definitely no like healthcare or, you know, unions or worker protection. But I don't think it really even matters because a lot of that's disappearing anyways. Even in California, it's all kind of a scam that they say, like, oh, we're all about the people who live here. It's really only for the people already at the top. What seems crazy is the amount of money that at least California spends on people being homeless. When you look for resources out there, it's like you're looking for a needle in the haystack, literally. There is basically nothing. And when you apply for jobs and they ask for your address, and you try to hide, you know, the fact that you don't have an address by putting a P.O. box, but you just put unit number instead of P.O. But then they look it up and they find out, and then you're basically ghosted. So if you don't have a residential address in the place you're applying for a job, it's basically impossible to get said job. And then they're probably doing, like, if it's a good job, they're probably doing a credit check, which is another detriment, and probably meaning that you're not going to get it. And these are just for lower end retail jobs. But even like having 2 college degrees, the fact that I'm thinking about that is kind of ridiculous. I mean, at least growing up, you know, going to college, I felt like the social contract was that I would have a job that at least could provide me with housing, a small apartment, condo or something, with a car and having a pet. But that social contract has been torn up and thrown away. This is cool. Old building up there. I probably need to get back to my car because there is a park ranger up there and I didn't pay the $10 to park here. Everywhere I go, it seems it's like $10, $15. I'm so tired of running into these fees, especially in the winter when absolutely no one's here. And so just to enjoy this place for like 10 or 15 minutes, I have to pay $10. It's a joke. It's a bit crazy how much I actually self-censor myself and try to be careful about what I say because of how society is, and just being aware of my words can really get me canceled so quickly. And just feeling kind of like a loser already and being told that I'm not really worth much in today's day and age Though when I see clips like this,
and you were powerful, like, to be honest, like, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult.
What the fuck?
Because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right, so the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay.
where you're called a loser if you're not in the Epstein files, I suppose that actually makes me proud to be a loser, because I feel like all these people who are the real privileged ones in the world, with all the power and money and basically doing acts that are satanic and probably sacrificing to some kind of demonic forces, that I'm the one that's like the real bad guy. Like, what a joke. And so there's really, I don't think, any reason for me to self-censor myself. Maybe just speak what I believe to be true. And then, of course, change if my opinion, and make another video recounting what I've said in the past, I suppose, because I could definitely be wrong about a lot in life, probably most things, actually. But I think there's something to be said for giving yourself some credit and not just putting yourself down all the time. And that I suppose we all have a worthwhile opinion, whether you're rich or poor, black or white, whatever race you really are. So yeah, I think we all have a voice, and we should be able to share it. Well, I suppose that the thought of having a voice and having it heard is a big reason why I even make these videos. Since I don't have anyone in my personal life around, I suppose it helps to make these videos and, I don't know, just share life experiences, places I go, exploration, adventures, some of the risks, I suppose, out in the wilderness, and thoughts and feelings. It also helps fill up some time between rides and give some kind of purpose. Maybe because I wasn't making any content or anything, and feeling down, not making anything, compounded that and just made it all so much worse. And then thus falling further into a form of depression. Most people, they talk about how social media is so evil and bad. Maybe though, in my case, it helps me keep a little bit more motivated, sharing my own journey throughout life, since it is just a journey that I experienced alone, that in a way sharing it on YouTube is really rewarding. And so I just got to recover from the last 4 or 5 days of feeling really down, and then come back to more of a stable level of just being at least not unhappy, but I don't have to be super happy, but I just don't want to be super sad either. And so I guess I got to keep on making these vlog videos in a way. And even if it doesn't go anywhere and no one watches it, it doesn't really matter, because I suppose I'm making these a lot for myself. Also, look at this. Like this morning when I woke up, it was sunny, and now the snow is really starting to fall. I was getting a little bit more down on myself also, just because I feel like it's just a matter of time before I don't even have the car anymore and I'm actually living on the streets. So I'm just trying to mentally kind of prepare for that, get some kind of like backcountry gear ready for when that time comes. Before that happens, I probably can't be here, and obviously this kind of snow and this weather where it's snowing on me, I don't know if that will be really survivable. I imagine I probably could, but it would just be pretty miserable. But also just the backlash from people assuming that I'm like a drug addict or an alcoholic, and that it's happened just because it was self-inflicted in that regards, and just being even less of a human. I suppose that it doesn't really matter what other people think. I don't know. I guess I still really think about what other people think about me. And just living like a pretty clean, wholesome lifestyle, and then being categorized as like a just complete loser, alcoholic, drug addict, is really disheartening to me. Just because I've always tried to take care of my mind and body like to the highest degree possible, and still like ending up in the same life predicament at some point. This will probably happen. I was thinking this morning, about people in prison and how they have a bed, 3 meals a day, and they don't really have to worry about anything. I mean, I'd much rather live on the streets than lose my freedom, but not having that safety net of anyone else in your life to fall back on, any kind of like partner or spouse, someone to talk to kind of get through these time periods. It's pretty rough in a way. I don't know. I guess I could deal with a lot, but just being categorized as a certain way, and that I probably just got there from substance abuse, really hits home. It makes me feel pretty depressed because I've gone the opposite way my entire life and still ended up the same. Down there, it would be a good view of Donner Lake if it wasn't so cloudy. Oh man, standing on this rock, probably not a good idea. You can kind of just see a little bit of the darkness down there where the lake is. When I look at the camera, I lose my equilibrium and my balance. The other day, I noticed, I didn't notice, I saw like as I was editing, my audio was all over the place and it drove me nuts. So I'm trying to go back to the Insta360 mic Air. Hopefully it'll make it a little bit more consistent. The internal mic on this camera, I think when it's really windy, it can't tell my voice from the wind. And so eventually it kind of blocks out both. It's amazing how in America, like one of the most prosperous, richest countries in the world, And yet, there's just so much inequality here, probably more than other countries. And the wealth is really so concentrated within like just a few people in America, and everyone else is just left scrambling for scraps, what's left over. I definitely see it a lot up here, and it's really demoralizing in California in general, just the wealth inequality. And it's really a set of two classes of people, you know, those who have and those who do not. Other countries, I imagine, do a better way of dispersing a lot of the wealth around. And I don't know, I think everyone just like has more of an opportunity to have some form of wealth, probably not to the same degree as in America, where you can become billionaire, a trillionaire at some point. You know, do you need multiple billions of dollars? And I understand that it's amazing how you can really be rewarded for your ingenuity in building a business, but it seems eventually when is enough, and you're just gonna pass on the wealth generationally, which is great, but it seems like it's becoming more and more of climbing the ladder and then pulling the ladder up from 90% of everyone else. And this is really how revolutions happen in countries. It's just the inequality gets so high to eventually, you know, majority of the people have nothing. So they might as well just have a revolution because there's nothing left to lose in their lives. Oh, now we're dropping down nicely. Now we're really able to see the lake. This is pretty amazing. What's amazing is there's so many people in Tahoe. They wake up in their houses, probably like their third home, and this is their view upon waking up. Imagine having breakfast and like you get to have this view every day. Such a luxury that most of us will never experience. And so it is really disheartening because I know that that'll never happen for me. Even in the country where I'm told that if I work harder, that I can achieve anything I want, it's all really a pipe dream. Those who get to go to Ivy League colleges because they've been able to network, but it's really just gatekeeping. All these universities, it just keeps some people in, and then everyone else has to get out. You know, certain ones of us for the good corporation jobs and high salaries, prestige, and just the glory. And the rest of us, you know, to just maintain that lifestyle for them. Mowing lawns, cleaning houses, working in the factories. We don't deserve anything above that. And then, you know, just basic healthcare too. That's America, is like the basic healthcare for most of us. You know, where if you have tinnitus, that's just like, you gotta live with that now for the rest of your life. It's deal with it. You're cold, deal with it. Sick, get over it. The Goyim, you don't get proper health care. Maybe some pills and pain medicine, but you better get back to the farm, back to the factory, the warehouse. And until, I guess, a majority of us want to wake up and fight back and do something about it, I think this is what we're stuck with. And if you're lucky, you'll have a tiny home or a motorhome or a mobile home, something like that. And then the rest of us will be in cars. Or worse, eventually just on the street. And you might be thinking, where's my parachute? I don't need a golden one. Maybe a bronze parachute. I think in order to really live, you just have to get out of America. Or maybe create some kind of group where you can sell out your group's votes to a political party and then they'll throw you a little bit more scraps. I'm definitely not part of any group like that. And most likely because white people have been more independent and like not fully committed to one political party, we're the ones attacked the most. It's just a theory. I don't know. I'm definitely nothing special. White people are definitely nothing special above anyone else. I think maybe it's just because we started rebellions and we rebelled against many countries, and the reason America's here is because of that rebellion spirit. And also, in the beginning, we were all about equality as well. So we rebelled against overall slavery in the world and saying we're all equal. But we're attacked for that as well. I don't know, this doesn't make any sense. So, we'll see how tomorrow goes. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Or maybe not. Maybe my views are getting a little too extreme and then people will unsubscribe. But as my life becomes more and more extreme into the harshness of it, probably so will my views. It's just human nature. The more extreme that things are pushed upon us, the more extreme views we probably adopt. I've just committed to not going into any forced doctrine or violence towards other people, because violence never solves anything. It's just our ability to discuss, talk, and work things out peacefully with each other. Because in the end, violence can come to us all, rich or poor. And once we kind of go down that path, there's really no coming back.